Hey everyone, I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. Please let me know what you think about today's stories in the comment section below. The first story is called Estimate Times. My dad works for the small company that got hired by AT&T to do some contract work for them. They have an arrangement to develop software and make changes based on what they need for that month. My dad is no programmer, so he manages everyone to make sure they are meeting deadlines and doing good work. AT&T will ask them to make a change to the software, but more so every month they expect a deadline before explaining the changes they want. My dad, not being on the programmer team, would give them a reasonable date and get harassed for estimating too long. Then, when he changed the date to sooner, they wouldn't hit the deadline and get harassed all over again. So he starts his malicious compliance. AT&T asked my dad for a minor change. It would take them a week or two to finish. Dad had enough, so he told AT&T that the update would come out in 3 months. The representative was in shock for it taking that long. He was furious. My dad simply said, "If I don't know what we are changing, we can't tell you how long it will be." The call ended swiftly, and the representative tried to call my dad's boss and everyone he had a contact for from the small company. But they would just redirect them to my dad. And Dad just said the same thing. It will be done in 3 months. This happened for a few months, with outrageously slow update times that would actually finish a month or two ahead of schedule. My dad got a small raise for it. Eventually, the representative caught on and began explaining what had to be done before asking. They still work together to this day, and I always laugh at those few months. The next story is called You Don't Want to Buy It? I was employed at a rather large factory, which is one of the largest plant-based companies in the world. They were recently bought by an investment firm not so long ago. Also, the story did not happen in the US. Anyways, I developed a program during my spare time at home on my own computer, which was used at the factory. It could tell whenever any machines were not running, even if it was due to a manual stop or anything else. My program knew the reason why the machine was idling. This program made it so much easier for the entire factory. Workers were happy because they didn't need to do any manual work and write down every time the machine stopped. After introducing the program to the former factory chief, I was allowed to try it out on one machine and test it. The maintenance was done on my office computer. After a few months, I was allowed to roll it out for the entire factory. It wasn't done overnight, lots of debugging to do. Lead up to about a year ago. The factory appoints a new chief. All the old employees that were in a leadership position were let go, because it was time for new blood to come in. There was a lot of talk about selling off parts of the factory, including machines and so on. This included programs that I had developed, including the program that identified whenever a machine stopped. I developed this program on my spare time, showed it to the old management, and they liked it enough that they wanted to use it on every station in the factory. Every machine was to use this program. All that had to be done was for the program to be maintained weekly. This was around 5 years ago or so. When the newly appointed factory chief wanted to let the old employees, me included, leave, it was not known that I was the person behind that program. Anyways, at my meeting with HR and the factory chief, I said that I was willing to sell them the program and teach someone how to maintain the program. The factory chief laughed in my face and said it was company property and that it was simply their program and not mine. I offered to show them the source code and everything, but it led up to the point where if I was to tamper with the program before my departure, they would sue me. I was officially let go. The 2-month countdown began, and after 2 months I was free. After a week or so, they noticed problems with the program. It would stop loading, stop registering stops, and it would mislabel stops. I knew that this was when the fun was about to begin. After a month, I was called into the office and was told that I had tampered with the program because it had suddenly stopped working. I let them know that someone had to maintain it. I was ordered to teach someone how to do that job and told them, after you pay me for the program rights. They wouldn't budge, and I was told to return to work. When I had a week left, I strolled around the factory floor for a while and noticed that no station were running my program anymore. I asked some operators why that was, and they told me that it just stopped working. Now we need to fill out forms every time the machine stops manually. I shrugged and told them to thank the factory chief. I left after that week. Got a phone call about a month after I left where they begged me to sell them the rights and teach someone how to maintain it. I never sold them that program. Instead, I sold an improved version to another factory nearby, where I am now employed. I hope you enjoyed today's video so far. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And please don't forget to press the like button, it really helps. And now, on to the next story. The third story is called Stop, It's a Construction Site. This happened a few years back. I was walking home from work, having just gotten off at the bus stop half a block up the road. My daily route cut across this large open field next to my neighborhood. This day was different though, but I didn't realize it right at that moment. I hadn't gotten very far onto that field before I had someone yelling at me to stop. I turned to the sound and saw a security guard running up to me. "You cannot enter here, buddy." "Why?" "It's a construction site." I glanced around the area. What amounted to a construction site was still an open field. They had put up a fence around it, but there was a large gap in it where I had blindly walked through and another one on the far end of my desired path. Aside from the fence and the security guard's truck parked off to the side, there was nothing to indicate that this was anything more than the same old grassy field. I tried to explain that I just wanted to cross over to the other side. But the security guard would have none of it. He finally said that I'm not allowed on a construction site without a hard hat, as he tapped the one he wore to indicate what he meant. At that moment, I probably had the biggest grin on my face. I slipped off my backpack and pulled out my own hard hat. Then, for good measure, I also grabbed my whiz vest, which was at the bottom past my work duds. And then did a toe point gesture to show off the CSA green triangle that was on the tongue of my sneakers, which indicated that they were work-approved steel-toed shoes. I didn't spare the guard another look as I picked up my backpack and carried on down the path. And for the guard, he didn't say anything further. I was apprenticing as a commercial pipe fitter at the time. The last story is called He Did Not Like These Answers. I used to work at a retail tropical fish store, and weird as it is, we were very well known. We used to provide the aquarium with rare fish, and people used to drive from 2 to 3 states over if they were true fish people to come to buy from us. I, a female, at the time 17, was an expert in tropical fish and koi. In fact, it was my job that summer to be the koi and outdoor pond point person. And my job was not only stocking the ponds. It was also managing all the plants, caring for them, and knowing every bit of information and all the prices of the various koi and goldfish we had. I knew diets, temperature ranges, places of origin, special breeds, I knew it all. They even would call me with questions on my days off. That clearly did not matter to one customer though. He came inside the store and asked for some help with the koi outside. I happily agreed, as I was the only person not on a lunch break. Now, this guy frankly seemed put off by my offering to help. So, instead of buying anything, he decided to quiz me for 20 minutes about the koi, goldfish and pond plants to try to get me to admit I didn't know something. I answered every single one of his stupid questions. Some really were stupid. And at the end of the 20 minutes, he had the balls to say, "Can I talk to someone who knows things? Like a man?" "Sure you can," I say with a fake smile. "Let me get John for you." Here's the malicious compliance. John was 75, retired, annoying as hell and crazy. My boss didn't even want him to be hired, but he owed John a favor. Now John is an expert in goldfish, but he hates koi and outside ponds. John, also like I said, is really annoying and crazy, but he had a soft spot for me, so we always would chat. I went inside to find John and explained to him that this customer wanted a man to talk to. John asked me why he wanted to speak to a man when I was the point person. And I told him that he clearly just didn't like that he was speaking to a girl. John nods knowingly, gets his evil grin on his face and goes to help the customer. 5 minutes later, I hear a man yelling in the parking lot. I run outside and find the customer screaming at John and cursing him out. What is wrong with you? Does nobody effing know anything around here? I will never come back. You're all horrible and know nothing about fish, and you are a terrible employee. I watch the guy hop into his car, slam the door and drive off. I asked John what happened. He said, "Oh yeah, no." Every time he asked me a question I said, not sure. Good question though. I could go and ask my female coworker, she's really our pond expert. And apparently he did not like that. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. And if you want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day and stay safe. Bye bye.